Good day, students. Hello and welcome to Human Resource Management, Section 8 of the Office Administration Syllabus. This section is broken up into 5 main areas, all of which will be covered in this presentation. Links to all resources contained herein can be found on relevant slides as well as in the description box. Feel free to pause the video at any point in time in order to write relevant notes, jot down ideas, and jot down any questions or issues which may arise. Remember that questions and issues are posted to our Edmodo and Padlet pages. Let's get started. By the end of this presentation, you will be able to define the term personnel or human resource, describe the functions of the Human Resource Management Office, identify duties and attributes of a clerk in the Human Resource Management Office, identify benefits of legislation related to workers' welfare, maintain records used in the Human Resource Office, and describe the factors that contribute to employee or labor turnover in an organization. Human resources, human resource management. What do those terms bring to mind? You are correct if you said people. Another word for human resource is personnel. The Human Resource Office deals with matters pertaining to staffing, and staffing involves people. For office administration, we are going to examine the role and function of the Human Resource Office or department within an organization. The Human Resource Office functions effectively or more effectively if it works closely with or liaises with other departments within the organization. Pause the video at this point, read the information contained in this slide, and jot down some roles or functions that you think the Human Resource Office may be responsible for. Now let's look at the roles and functions of the Human Resource Office and see whether you had come up with any of these roles and functions when you were jotting down your information. We are going to learn about 8 roles and functions of the HR office in this section of the syllabus. The first role and function is recruitment. When a vacancy occurs, the post or position is usually advertised, and this may be done either internally, meaning within the organization, or externally, meaning outside of the organization, through the use of media advertisements and employment agencies. Therefore, under the role and function of recruitment, the Human Resource Office is responsible for finding the right people for the right job within the organization. When exercising its role and function of recruitment, the selection process for the hiring of new employees is usually undertaken by the Human Resource Department or Human Resource Office. This selection process involves processing the application. After the application has been received, the Human Resource Office examines the application to determine which applications are going to be further processed. Shortlisting is the process of selecting an approved number of applicants for the interview process. Interviewing entails interviewing the candidates who have been shortlisted. This interview process may be done by one or more persons. When an interview is conducted by more than one person, it is referred to as a panel of interviewers. Testing may also form part of the selection process, and it may be considered or it may fall under the interview process, meaning that candidates who have been shortlisted and attended the interview may be required to perform a basic literacy, numeracy, or other such skilled test. Successful applicants are notified either by telephone, correspondence, or in some other form, and if follow-up is required, these candidates are then further processed for follow-up or offered the position. So this selection process falls under recruitment, and the selection process starts with the processing of the application and ends with the hiring of the new employee. The second role of the HR office we are going to learn about is induction. The process of induction is really the introducing of new employees to their jobs, co-workers, and the organization. Usually, the induction takes the form of an employee orientation session. This is a program organized where the employee is introduced to the new job and is familiarized with the overall work of the organization, and they are also introduced to other personnel and the work that they do. The induction process helps the employee to adjust or assimilate to his or her environment within the shortest possible time, and provides information on things such as the structure of the organization, organizational policies, services, wages and salaries, working hours, benefit plans, training opportunities, and appraisal systems. Have a look at the diagram shown here so that you can gain a better understanding of the induction process. As part of the induction process, and during the induction or orientation period, the new employee is asked to submit relevant information. These include a national insurance or NIS number, an income tax or Board of Inland Revenue number, an identification number which can be found on the identification card, and complete a form with medical information. As part of that process of completing the form for medical information, new employees are sometimes required to undergo a medical examination by a doctor appointed by the organization. The third HR function we are going to learn about is deployment. And no, deployment is not the opposite of employment. Deployment is essentially matching an employee to his or her skills. I always like to use the example that I am trained as a teacher of Office Administration and EDPM. So it is very unlikely that I will be placed in a school to teach hairdressing. The Human Resource Office or Department of the Ministry of Education would have looked at my skills and placed me in the best possible position for my skills, which would be for the teaching of Office Administration and Electronic Document Preparation and Management. So deployment ensures that employees are placed in a part of the organization where their skills will be used to the best advantage of the organization. Some of the factors that are considered for deploying staff include the specific needs of each section of the organization, organizational objectives, experience, qualifications, abilities, and interests of the individual employee. HR function number 4 is all about appraisal. And Appraisal is a method of employee evaluation which rates the employee based on performance. This method identifies individual staff development needs and evaluates the progress and improved performance of the employee resulting from development. Appraisal takes various forms and some it is usually tailor-made to suit the individual requirements of the business. So depending upon the organization that you are working in, their appraisal method and appraisal forms is going to be different from another organization. HR function number 5 is all about training. And training provides opportunities to assist the employee with developing existing skills and learn new ones. Training can take two forms. It can be done in-house, meaning that an employee of the organization can be the training facilitator, or the organization may hire an external agency, for example, some experts in the field or some university training department to conduct training within the organization. Can you think of any benefits of training? I'm sure that after giving it some thought, you realize that training benefits both the employer and the employee. Here are just 4 short points on the ways in which training is beneficial to both employer and employee. A better understanding of the organization and its goals, improved performance and morals, improved problem-solving techniques, and the introduction of ideas which can save time and money. Did you come up with any of these benefits when you thought about the benefits of training? HR function number 6 is attending to staff welfare. And when we hear the term staff welfare, what immediately comes to mind is taking care of your employees. Under staff welfare, the HR department is responsible for ensuring that working conditions not only meet legal requirements, but are conducive to encouraging employees to work well. This office will be in regular contact with employees who are away from work through sickness, and even perhaps those employees who have retired. The 7th HR function we are learning about today is disciplinary procedures. This entails ensuring that when necessary, procedures for disciplining employees are carried out in a fair and correct manner. Private organizations often provide employees with a staff handbook, code of regulations, code of conduct, or some other written document indicating the company's disciplinary procedures. This can be likened to your adhering to school rules and facing consequences when you breach those school rules. In the same way, employees in an organization who go against the code of ethics or code of conduct for that particular organization are faced with disciplinary procedures or disciplinary action. And this is one of the roles of the HR department. The 8th and final function that we are required to learn about is the provision of proper job descriptions to employees. So the HR office is responsible for job descriptions. A job description defines the roles, responsibilities, and duties of the employee, and this document is usually done in duplicate. One copy is filed in the employee's personal data file, while the other is kept usually by the employer for ready referral. So while the job description defines roles, responsibilities, and duties to be performed in a job position, it is different to the job specification. However, these terms are sometimes used interchangeably. But we are going to examine the job specification so we can fully understand the difference between the job description and the job specification. Whereas the job description defines the roles, duties, and responsibilities of the job specification defines the job. It is a particular set of skills or attributes required in a candidate to perform that particular job named in the job specification. The need for preparing a job description arises when the job analysis is done. This job specification is a very explicit record and should be completed paying close attention to the job description. So here we can see things like minimum educational requirements, lists of work to be performed, minimum and maximum salary ranges, and additional relevant job judgment required in the job are all items that would be listed on the job specification. Here we are reminded that it is important to liaise with other departments. The HR office must liaise with other departments in order to operate efficiently and effectively, because the employees that are managed by the HR department form parts of other departments. In order to write an employee's job description and in order to write job specifications, the HR department must liaise with relevant departments. And that's just an example. There are other ways that the HR department must liaise with other departments. Can you think of any other reasons for the HR department to liaise with any other department within an organization? The following slides contain additional information to assist you in understanding the role and function of the HR department. During the orientation session, the employee gets information about wages and salaries. The HR office is responsible for reviewing pay structures regularly to ensure that the organization is offering comparable remuneration and scales of pay. From the information, the HR department of an organization determines actual remuneration. In doing so, it liaises with the finance or accounts department of the organization. And the accounts department would be the ones responsible for actually disbursing payments to the employees, either via check or cash. The staff record card, one of the documents used in the HR department, is usually completed as part of the induction process. This card gives basic information about the employee, and it is usually updated on a regular basis or as the need arises. The records kept for employees vary from organization to organization, but they generally contain the same basic information. As a research activity, I would like you to look at employee record cards and list the information contained in those cards. You may compare cards from more than one organization or compare more than one sample and note the similarities and differences. As part of the appraisal function of HR, employees are evaluated and these records are filed in the HR office. The appraisal or evaluation form is one such record. These records provide an indicator of how much the employee adds value to the organization in terms of their work competencies and their skills and their performance over a given period of time. Some such factors that are to be considered when evaluating the employee are scholastic background, examinations passed, courses taken, attendance and punctuality, job knowledge, attitude, quantity and quality of work, reliability, initiative, adaptability, decision-making ability. This list is not an exhaustive list. There are other factors which organizations use to determine how efficient, how effective an employee has been, and how well they have performed over the period for which the appraisal is being undertaken. So we've learned a lot about HR management thus far. Let's take a break, pause, and recap. We looked at the definition of human resource, and we looked at the roles and functions of HR. I would like you to see if you can attempt to answer the questions posted here without referring to your notes, just to see how much you have learned. So the first question, what is HR? The second part of this recap lists the roles and functions of HR. The third part, briefly explain each role and function listed. And lastly, why is it important for the HR office to liaise with other offices within the organization? Upon completion of these questions, replay or revisit specific parts of the video to compare the answers that you wrote to the information that is contained in those parts of the video.